got a lot of opinions.
Yep.
I don't want to do this. Imagine that. Interesting. Just thinking about stuff. Oh, it's over. Hey guys, welcome back to Beer Break. I know it's been a very, very long time since we did an episode, and by this time we probably lost all our listeners, which sucks. I'll try to do better now. I'm just being self-defeating. But yeah, it's been a while. Work has been crazy, and because of that, it just took a long while. I recently had a huge workload. Thankfully, that's been lifted recently, so should be doing this hopefully more often, and hopefully you guys get something out of it, whether it's entertainment or even something else that's valuable. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Juan leaving the group.
Yeah.
I had to go to San Antonio. Definitely made things a lot harder. Losing a key member kind of sucked. So.
And hopefully we'll be able to do a podcast again with him soon. It's just we've all been busy, and now that we live hundreds of miles apart.
Yeah, and just a little insight on what we actually do. We all actually work at Alamo Draft House. So during the busy season, when we got big movies coming out like Star Wars and holidays and stuff like that, we really tend to get fucked up pretty hard.
Yeah, we get slammed pretty hard. That sounded sexual. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, going into what we're going to be talking about, this episode is Beer Break number... I actually don't know the number, but next time I'll know the number for sure.
Like 5 or 6, or no, it's like 7 or something. Yeah.
But it's of Star Wars disappointments and damned franchises. So we'll be going over a whole bunch of stuff, and we'll get started first with, before we go into Star Wars and all that franchises, I wanted to start us off with some news. Pretty interesting news. CES is going on right now, which is it's a Consumer Electronics Expo, basically. Basically, you see all the new technology that's coming out and stuff. And there's one thing that they recently showed that I thought was funny, which is that Sony revealed the PlayStation 5 logo, and it's just the PS4 logo with the 5.
The 5? Yeah, I mean, isn't that what they always do?
No. It's great, actually. I mean, it just shows you how much PlayStation is, like, how much they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because they're not wasting time. Like, I mean, Nintendo, you have the 64, the Wii, the Wii U, GameCube, Switch. Like, it's just all over the place,
Yeah.
And then Xbox is like, I guess they forgot how to count or something, because you have Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. Like,
I mean, I think they just probably decided just to drop the numbers because everybody PlayStation seems to be doing the numbers.
Supposedly, Microsoft said that even though it's called Xbox Series X, the Series X is just supposed to mean like that it's like the more powerful version, and it's just called Xbox.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, actually, just before this, when I was watching the Gamer Ranks, like they were kind of talking about some of the new tech. Talked about a bunch of new computers, laptops, and shit like that. But they started off the video with talking about a new shower head that is like like has a speaker and it's like Alexa enabled. And I mean, that's pretty fucking crazy, man.
That's that's funny. Alexa, can you talk to me?
I guess it's good to those who like to listen to music while they shower and shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just kind of weird having something like that in your shower.
Yeah, it is weird. And also, I saw this. I forgot which company revealed this, but they revealed a 298-inch micro LED display.
Holy
298
shit.
inches. It has 69 panels that create the display, and it draws over 9,000 watts of electricity.
Shit.
Which, just to put that into perspective, I think our projectors at Alamo Draft House draw about... I know one of them for sure draws like at least 5,000 watts of electricity.
And this one's how much?
9,000 watts.
Damn.
And 298 inches, that's not... I mean, it's huge, but I don't even think that's as big as any of our screens at Draft House.
Yes.
Those are like so many inches that it's like feet. You know what I mean? Like that's what we use for the metrics is feet. Oh, this is like 30, 50 feet kind of thing. Interesting. recently The Witcher came out, which we'll go into. But interesting side fact: since The Witcher came out recently, The Witcher 3 had its most players it's ever had in its lifespan, over the Christmas weekend, on Steam. So like, even when it launched, it didn't have as that many players playing concurrently.
That's insane. Yeah. I mean, it definitely brought me back. You saw me playing this morning. I just restarted the whole thing.
Even me, dude. I read the books, and I'm playing the Thronebreaker Witcher Tales.
Yes, and I actually bought the first novel.
You got the first
Blood
novel.
of Elves. So.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to see. Just like I think it kind of proves that it's definitely a hit, the show, which is great because I wanted to see more seasons. I was just kind of worried that it wasn't gonna be a hit. You know what I mean? Because it's way more fantastical than something like Game of Thrones. You know.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like in terms of fantasy aspects, you know what I mean? Because you have magic and witches and wizards and you have the Witchers and dwarves and elves and you even have a dragon in there and just like different creatures and stuff, and it's just a lot less fantastical than say Game of Thrones, where the only creatures were the Night King and his minions and the dragons.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have like, weird animals.
Or monsters
like
of some
Kik
sort.
and Mora.
Yeah,
that Geralt goes against in the first episode.
Yeah, and then there's that what the hell was it called? It's like the third episode or so.
The Striga.
The Striga, there you go. Yeah. So like,
that one's really cool. Going on, we'll come back to The Witcher, but going on, The Witcher 3 was actually on Steam's Gold list, which they have platinum, gold, silver, bronze, and I think platinum is if you sold 1 million copies or more. I think gold is if you sold 1 million copies. And then silver is like 500,000. I think bronze is 100,000. So The Witcher 3 was on gold, which I think means it sold like 1 million copies throughout the year.
Oh, okay. You said gold. I thought you said goat.
No. Sorry. No, gold.
I was like, is that above platinum?
And there you go. Now you can hear better.
I was going to tell you that I could not hear like you through my headset.
Sorry, guys. We didn't have the audio really high, so we couldn't really hear each other. Sounded like we were in space. Okay, so so it was on gold. It's just, I think it's amazing that the game is still selling so well after 5 years.
Yeah,
like it just speaks to the quality of the game. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I think the Witcher Netflix series definitely helped it out.
And now that we're talking a little bit about games, I have this other piece. PlayStation Plus revealed their games, which is going to be Uncharted, Nathan Drake Collection, and Goat Simulator. And
trash.
Yeah, it just fucking sucks. Like for the past 3-4 months, they keep giving games that like everyone, like who doesn't have it. I mean, I know some people aren't gonna have it, and honestly, it's a first world problem, right? But it's just like, god damn, it's so fucking old. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just it's not paying its worth. You know?
Yeah, I've had the Nathan Drake Collection for like 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah.
And the Goat Simulator, personally, I would probably never fucking play that.
Dude, I mean,
I'm sure that has an audience, people who like that.
Yeah, not only that, but recently, I mean, Xbox has had everything from Devil May Cry 5 to Grand Theft Auto 5, and I mean, we haven't gotten anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's been about 4 months, which it just sucks. So, but okay, going to other news, Rise of Skywalker came out. In case you didn't know, go watch it. Nah. And its box office hasn't been doing too hot compared to the other Star Wars movies. It's doing great in the sense that it hit $1 billion. It's gonna hit $1 billion, I think. But at the same point in time, it's lagging behind The Last Jedi and lagging far behind The Force Awakens.
Damn.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that it's lagging so far behind.
I think that just has to do a bunch with the reviews people are giving it.
Yeah.
And just what they're hearing.
Yeah, and just in general, everyone's just kind of over.
And so some of them might have been turned off with The Last Jedi too.
Oh, so. Yeah, definitely. Which we'll go a little bit more into that later. But yeah, and okay. So going into other news, Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion was announced. And so it's supposed to come with 200 Pokemon, over 200 Pokemon, but it's split into 2 expansions. And they're $30 each, and so I personally just think it's a little bit of a ripoff.
I think the price is a little steep, but I guess for the amount of Pokemon you get, I mean, 200 Pokemon's a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, if you really think about it, that brings, like, the current Pokédex up to, like, 600.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 200 Pokemon's a lot, and if
Are you
the
expansions?
Probably. Probably. Yeah, I'm only, like, 80 Pokemon away from completing the Pokédex. So
there you go, Pokemon
I definitely...
fans.
Yeah, I actually want to complete that before the expansion comes out now, and it's actually really cool because I was already kind of giving up on Sword and Shield. I'm like, oh, that's it, and it looks like they got other stuff in store for us. So, I'll buy it regardless of the price. I think it'll be worth it. 200 Pokemon and then like some new storylines or something because you're going to like different areas, different I wouldn't say regions, but like islands and like all that stuff. So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah. So Warner Brother Games Montreal, who were better known as developing Batman Arkham Origins, which was that little kind of not a spin-off, but it was the prequel to the Arkham games. Didn't sell as well. Wasn't as critically acclaimed, but I personally liked it.
I liked it too. I played them all.
Yeah,
really good games.
And they've continued their teases on Twitter, which if you haven't known, for the past few months, maybe year, they've been teasing what seems to be like another Arkham game. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be set in the Arkham universe, but definitely another game in that vein of Batman. And they put like half a logo, and they put the words "Capture the Night," Night being the KNIGHT. And yeah, I was just kind of like, just announce the game already.
Yeah,
because it's annoying.
Yeah, I heard other rumors that it's going to be about like the Court of Owls and stuff like that,
which is like Gotham's version of the Illuminati, which is
that'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's about time we get another game.
Yeah,
it's been a while now. I mean, it's been like what?
Arkham Knight came out I think around the same time as The Witcher.
So it's about 4 or 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
4 or 5 years. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I don't have a whole bunch of fact-checking stuff in front of me. I will be able to get better on that just to make sure that we don't give you false information. But another thing is I was looking at this article that supposedly states that there's going to be no cash prizes. Yes. Nintendo president recently explained the decision to not offer prize money for Smash Brothers esports. I personally think it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, did they talk about like what sort of like I guess prizes they are gonna get? Like,
let me see.
Like if you just win and get absolutely nothing, that's stupid. But I mean, if they have like, I guess.
Let's see. It says here, Nintendo president, and so this article, just so you guys know, comes courtesy of Esports Viral, and it says Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa has explained the company's decision not to contribute to esports tournament prize pools. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is reportedly the best-selling fighting game. Blah, 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 blah. However, esports consultant Rod Brislau suggested at the time that Nintendo's failure to provide prize money and stability for the competitive community is the only thing keeping Smash Bros. Ultimate and Melee from being a top-tier esport. But in an interview, the president, translated by Japanese Nintendo, suggested that the lack of monetary prize support isn't a weakness in the company's esports strategy, which he said prioritizes inclusiveness. What? Esports is where players compete on stages while revolving around prize money, and spectators enjoy watching that. It launches one of the amazing appeals of video games. Okay, but there is no sense of antagonism. In order to make our company's games be played by a broad range of people, regardless of experience, gender, or generation, we also want to make our events joinable by a broad range of people. Being able to have a different worldview from other companies without a large sum of prize money is our strength. And that's his explanation. It's stupid.
I really think it's stupid. I mean, I think the whole point of esports is the competitive aspect of it. And I mean, if you're not giving them...
And to be rewarded.
Yeah, a prize for, being the best at something, then, and they don't even touch base on, like, what they get. So if you're not giving them shit, then, of course, your game's not going to be on the top tier of esports. Like, nobody's going to play that shit for free.
Yeah, and, I mean, this just speaks to... No offense to any Nintendo fans, but it just speaks to the backwards old thinking of Nintendo in general. Just whether it was their consoles, with Wii U, and other even Nintendo 64, how they still had cartridges, even though PS1 had CDs, and that blew up in their face. They created one of their biggest rivals ever because of that. But I mean, and not only that, but Nintendo also demonetizing and just making it harder for creators to make money off, just doing content that's centered around Nintendo and stuff. I mean, I just think that Nintendo is just so behind the times. Let me know in 10 years if they've caught up. You know what I mean? Because yeah, it's ridiculous to see that. And honestly, I can see where they're coming from in the sense that, they don't want to like get like scared because there's money involved, but
that's stupid, man. I mean, I think that's the whole fucking point of esports and playing competitively on that kind of level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And moving on. This is pretty much a non-story, but just wanted to mention it. New Final Fantasy 15 MMORPG for mobile is coming out, and interestingly enough, the MMORPG that they already have has been so successful, monetary wise. If I'm not mistaken, it's their most monetarily successful Final Fantasy 15 product, and so them making another one is a no-brainer, but just sucks because I'm not interested in that shit.
I ain't got much to say about Final Fantasy. I've only played one game, and it was when it was free to play on Xbox or something like that, and I played it for like maybe 6 hours, and I was like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, I mean,
this isn't for me.
Yeah, I mean, Final Fantasy isn't for anybody, but for everybody. I mean, anybody. For everybody. But hey, you started playing Dragon Quest, right?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, Dragon Quest is a lot like Final Fantasy, and I would say that if you end up beating Dragon Quest 11, I would give, at the very least, Final Fantasy 15 a shot. It's very different, but I would give that one a shot. Definitely Final Fantasy 13 a shot.
Cool. I know there's a shit ton of Final Fantasy games, so you're going to need to tell me like which one's good and which one to play.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's a fuck ton there.
Yeah, well, definitely the one that's coming out soon, the Final Fantasy 7 Remake, I think will actually be a good jumping off point as well.
Nice.
But moving on, recently Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, they released a trailer with the old announcer from the cartoon, and I saw the trailer, and I don't know, I just thought it was so cool because I remember, like, even though I didn't really watch Dragon Age a lot when I was young.
Dragon Ball, pendejo.
He's the Dragon Age. I'm so sorry, guys. Even though I didn't see Dragon Ball a lot when I was young, hearing the voice of the announcer and everything was just like, it even brought nostalgia to me, and I really want to get it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, so I'm actually super excited about this. I mean, to have a role-playing game of Dragon Ball Z, that's something we've never had. I think the closest we got to that was Dragon Ball, like, Xenoverse. And it was, like, just a fighting game. I mean, technically, this is what this is.
But it was, like, a slight RPG.
Yeah. But this is going to have, like, side quests and, like, fillers on, like, what happens in between sagas and stuff like that. You're not only playing as Goku, but I think you can play as Vegeta, Future Trunks, and Gohan and Piccolo, I believe. But it's more than just Goku, and you get to relive the entire saga again, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, and the graphics look cool.
Like, yeah, they do.
They look very reminiscent of the anime, which is really cool.
Yeah, so super excited. Definitely planning on getting that when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. And another news, Lord of the Rings, Gollum, which is a video game that's being made. It's a video game that's being made. I forgot who the developer is.
What is this though? Like, is it based around him?
Yes, it's based around Gollum, and from what I know is that it's supposed to be kind of like Telltale kind of game, but not completely. Like, Daedalic Entertainment has reaffirmed that its action. And this article comes courtesy of IGN. Daedalic Entertainment has reaffirmed that its action-adventure game, The Lord of the Rings Gollum, will be coming to next-gen consoles, including PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, alongside PC in 2021. So that's kind of far. This is what the studio told Edge Magazine for its February 2020 issue, which has a number of interviews with key developers that reveal the first new details about the game since its announcement back in March 2019. For starters, Daedalic has set out to invent its own version of the main character Gollum, rather than follow the look given to him in Peter Jackson's movies. Tolkien didn't give a size reference for Gollum to begin with, art director Matthias Fischer told Edge. I don't know how true that is, because, I mean, I think it's widely known that Gollum is a hobbit, or was a hobbit, so that's at that point he only has a certain size he could be. But
yeah, I'm not too familiar with the whole Lord of the Rings thing. I think I saw the first movie, and then fell off of the second. Yeah, I know. You tell me all the time.
So in the first illustrations, he's gigantic. He's like a monster emerging from the swamp. Daedalic hasn't yet revealed what Gollum would look like in the game. I mean, I really hope that they're not being stupid, because sometimes art, the way it's drawn, it's to evoke a certain feeling. Mm-hmm. So if Gollum looked big, maybe at that moment the artist wanted him to look huge. You know? Yeah. Not necessarily that he is huge, but who knows. Senior producer K. Fibig adds to this that Daedalic doesn't want to displease the folks who have only seen the movies, but in short, he doesn't look like Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis being the actor who portrayed Gollum in the movies and in the Hobbit movies. Daedalic's take on Gollum has you play him as he's deep into his corruption by the One Ring. He conveys a different set of emotions than those seen in the films, so that he's more sympathetic and relatable. This is important as you'll be spending 20 or so hours with him. Fisher also revealed that the Lord of the Rings Gollum will feature Nazgul. Those are the ring wraiths. Now, remember in part 1? They're the ones that when they got to Hobbiton, they were like, Shire!
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, not the ones that lovers of the film will know. Fuck. They were an interesting challenge because it's so well documented that they are in the wider narrative. It was like, shit, can we use the cool Nazgul? Fisher said, I think ours are less cool ones. They're the drummer and bass player of the band, but we have a chance to make them more popular. The Edge feature also outlines that you should expect stealth gameplay, a dual personality mechanic, huge levels, and a move away from the violence that dominates other Lord of the Rings games. The dual personality of Gollum sounds particularly interesting and will lead to some crucial choice-based moments throughout the game. It's not just choosing to be Smeagol or Gollum, because for Gollum as an entity, it's not that easy. Each personality is being attacked by the other. Each has to defend himself.
That's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. He says you'll have multiple, maybe 2, 3, 4 conflicts per chapter that lead to a final decision point. And at that final decision point, it'll be harder to pick Smeagol, for example, if you've always fought for the Gollum side before.
Damn.
Wow. Oh, and they have a long-running contract that allows them to do 2 or 3 games set in Middle-earth. Which means that he says, obviously, we're not going to do Gollum 2. That doesn't make sense. It could be some other character. But it'll be comparable to what we're now trying with Gollum. Wow. Yeah, I didn't mean to spend so much time in that story, but it was just really interesting what they're saying.
I just wondered how they would make a game of him, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little hesitation with how they were explaining Gollum and stuff. Then again, I'm not somebody who's read all the books. I only read Fellowship of the Ring, and I've seen the movies a whole bunch of times. So I'm really colored by, Andy Serkis's performance and how they built Gollum there. So we'll see. Continuing on, Fox president confirms that Jussie Smollett will not indeed return for Empire's final season. And for those of you who don't know, Jussie Smollett was the one who lied about his hate crime. Some people think that it's up in the air, but I'm pretty sure that the evidence just stacks really against him.
Fuck that
guy. He made it worse for everybody. So good riddance. In other news, Netflix was ordered recently by a judge in Brazil to remove their gay Jesus comedy. So I don't think they're gonna do it. I mean, maybe they might have to do it in the region of Brazil, possibly. But
because they can do that, right? They can just make sure that a certain
part
of the world doesn't get it.
So, but yeah, I mean, just in general, I wanted to use that as a jumping off point. Just saying that, in general, I think religious people just need to chill out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think religious people can be some of the, worst people, and I'm sorry if I'm, talking about you, whoever's listening. But yeah, religious people can be some of the worst. And
no, hey, dude, I personally was really, really, really religious for a long time, and even though I still consider myself a Catholic, a lot of people will say that I'm not because I don't follow certain things and whatnot. But whatever.
Yeah, same. Raised Catholic. At this point, I think it's agnostic is where I don't believe in anything.
I guess, yeah. Agnostic.
Yeah, because I'm not really sure what to believe in.
But yeah, and I mean, I remember the way I was brought up and raised, and I didn't like the way I did certain things because of that's how they taught me to speak to people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to bash on it. It helped me a lot in life, but the thing is when you're dealing with comedy, there's no need to take it to that level. You know, where you have to, plead with Netflix to take something down just because it's making fun of Jesus. Like it's
kind of like if you don't like it, then don't fucking watch it. You know, nobody's telling you to fucking click on it.
Yeah.
I mean, let comedy be comedy. Let people just have a laugh. You know,
There's
not everybody's fucking religious, and not everybody's gonna give a shit.
Yeah,
people
and
just want to laugh. So
and in general, there just shouldn't be any boundaries when it comes to comedy. So who cares? In other news, Jillian Michaels, who was actually one of the people who helped people in The Biggest Loser.
Oh, okay.
She was like one of the gym coaches.
Yeah, she was one of the coaches.
Recently, she was asked about people celebrating Lizzo's body, and critics slammed her for being fat phobic. What do you think?
I mean, I think it's not necessarily being fat phobic. I mean, it's just obviously Jillian Michaels is a really healthy person and knows, that being, somebody of that size and that, overweight or, obese, it's definitely not healthy for you. So I think everybody praising Lizzo for like, body positivity and all that. I mean, I think, that they're just feeding, us accepting, that fat is okay.
Yeah.
When for your health, in reality, it's really not.
Yeah. There's this comment that I saved that I really want to just go over because I think it's just so wrong-headed. Where was it? Sorry, guys, we're back. I was just looking for my comment because I couldn't find it because I saved it. I should have taken a screenshot, but the person deleted their comment. Basically, the comment kind of went... I have a little excerpt here, but it's not the whole comment. But basically, the whole idea of the comment was just that he was really going all over the place of saying that, you can't work out too much. You can't not work out too much. You can't be too skinny. You can be too fat. Like, he wasn't... Like, he was using that as a defense for Lizzo. Like, we shouldn't judge her because, maybe the way she is like, healthy or whatnot. But it's no, it's not.
No, there's nothing healthy about being overweight. And, I ain't got anything against people who are overweight, like me, myself, I'm overweight. But, I mean, I'm not going to go to the next fat person and, like, body shame them at all. Like, no, that's not what I'm about.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it's not healthy. I don't feel healthy, and I'm not even that overweight.
Yeah, and some people are, or some people carry this notion of like, oh, fat is sexy. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. I don't think I'm sexy.
I think there's certain individuals who might, be into that, but overall,
that's true. I don't want to bemoan people who have their own preferences.
Yeah, or watch like BBW on Pornhub or something.
Yes.
But overall, there's nothing healthy about being overweight, and I don't think people should be body shaming her. Let her do whatever she wants to do, but at the same time, don't be normalizing it and making it seem like being overweight is in, because I mean it's really not good for you.
Yeah, no, it's not. And like this little excerpt that was saved because people replied to him on Reddit said, I'd argue this idea of healthy, quote unquote, that we throw around publicly isn't rooted in any fact or science. Only a professional can determine what is the actual upper or lower weight or fat limits for any given body actually are.
Yep.
Which is true. Just in the context that he used it in was just like, he was going like back and forth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the point where it's like insinuating that like maybe where her upper body limit is, how kind of overweight she is where like it needs to be. But it's like no, no, like I it's just it's not.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. Going on to other stuff, Warner Brothers signed a deal to create an AI-driven film management system, which basically means that this AI will be able to determine an actor's worth in different countries, and they will be able to pair them up with certain scripts that the AI can read and kind of guesstimate how much a movie can make. and it's supposed to help Warner Brothers greenlight more projects and stuff like that. But
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, there's always going to be something wrong with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I know that we were talking about YouTube's, and, you know, YouTube's isn't perfect at all.
Yeah.
Just the way it kind of like promotes different videos and, you know, all that stuff. So,
yeah, not just that, but just given the fact that this AI is based on an actor's value and stuff like that, it's just like, it's going to make studio execs be even more apprehensive to do films that are hard to like sell people on, you know, until you actually see the finished product.
Yeah, like all those indie films and shit too, right?
Indie films. I mean, but dude, even if you go back, unfortunately, it doesn't happen as much. But if you go back to the early 2000s, you have Iron Man and Kevin Feige's idea for the MCU. If the AI only had the data of up to 2008, the AI would have said, well, I don't think it's going to lead to 20, 30 films.
Yeah, I think especially if you talk about the Thor movie too. Like, obviously the first Thor wasn't that great.
Exactly. So, but now we know that if done the right way, it could lead to 20, 30 films in a franchise. And the AI would have never known that. Now the AI will know that, right? But go back to Lord of the Rings. That was also a huge, like, Peter Jackson, it was a huge gamble for him because he went to so many different studios. They all said no. And then eventually New Line said yes. But even then, it was still a gamble. Nobody knew if it was going to make a lot of money. And they all did. Almost all of them made almost $1 billion. And part 3 made like $1.3 billion. So it was incredibly successful. I mean, the same thing with Harry Potter. It was a pipe dream to have every single book be made into a movie. But they actually did it, you know. But these are the kinds of things that if an AI had seen it at the time, I'm pretty sure they would have said, it's not. I mean, also Daniel Radcliffe. Who the hell is he? You know what I mean? Like, or Elijah Wood for Frodo, or any of those characters who weren't popular at the time. Robert Downey Jr.
Like who got popular because of the movie. Yeah. You know, that they kind of took a risk on.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just fear mongering, but I just don't like the idea that they're focusing on just more robotic stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And going on to our last few stories, American Horror Story has been renewed for seasons 11, 12, and 13.
Which is insane. I mean...
Do you care about that?
Not really. I mean, I gave up after the circus one, which was like season 4. Yeah.
I mean...
like the Lady Gaga one really turned me off.
Season 5?
Yeah. After that, you know, I just never really got back into it. I'm pretty sure there's a good season in there.
Supposedly the Reason one was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it was season 8 or 9.
Maybe it's you know, worth maybe going back and looking into it, but right now I'm just watching other shit that I don't care about that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the cool thing is that because it's an anthology series, you don't have to watch like all the seasons to like be in the know of what's going on and stuff. And going on, since 2007, it's been revealed that 60 of the 77 restaurants that were featured on Kitchen Nightmares have closed.
Damn. What do you think? That's almost all of them.
Yeah. What do you think about that? As somebody who works, because you are a kitchen manager and you've worked in the industry for a while. Like, you know, what do you think about?
I mean,
many of them closing.
I think it all just depends on the people running them. Because Gordon Ramsay can only come in for a while, teach you some good habits, and you know, show you how to run an efficient business. But if you don't keep up with those practices, if you don't keep up with, you know, the cleanliness, because I know a lot of the times, you know, the food was just fucking gross. They would find like, you know, dead rats and shit. If you don't keep up with that, then there's no way you're going to succeed. So I think Gordon Ramsay went in, you know, gave them the tools and, you know, the knowledge to keep running. But if you got just people who don't give a shit, eventually they're going to revert back to the way they do things, and, you know,
right, you
know, just ultimately fail.
So ultimately it's the people who... Yeah,
definitely. I think Gordon Ramsay, you know, is freaking amazing at what he does, and a lot of his ideas are great, and the way he brought back some of the restaurants, and I'm pretty sure some of them did well for the first, you know, couple years, but I mean, after a while, you know, he's not really there to check in on you no more. Yeah, you're just gonna go back to your, you know,
old ways habits. And stuff. Yeah. And,
yep.
I mean, I think this is a huge example of just, you know, it's incredibly hard to change people who are 40, 50 years old and set in their ways and stuff like that. Yeah, they actually have to actively decide to change. Last story is Avatar 2 dropped its first look at new worlds and creatures that are coming out in some concept art. And my question for you, Carlos, and for you guys, is do you care?
No. No, unfortunately I don't. I watched the first Avatar probably when it came out, and it did not catch my attention. So like I don't know what like hype train people are on, or like why they're so hyped about this. Like I didn't the first one, you know, in my opinion, wasn't even like holy shit, this is amazing. I think it's like the first time they tried using like CGI or some shit or something like that. And I mean, I don't know if that kind of makes it, you know, a reason to be super excited. But I mean, it's been so many years, and I mean, at this point, like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like looking at it from the outside, you would say like who cares? But the thing is, I think when the trailer comes out and whether it's successful in marketing the movie, it won't even matter if you didn't care, because if it succeeds in bringing you in, you're back. You know what I mean? So like I think James Cameron does have the ability to do that, because if you look at all his films, Terminator 2, Aliens, Avatar, Titanic, they've all been incredibly successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a more of like a personal like opinion thing.
No, yeah.
I mean, Avatar didn't really catch my attention.
And you know what's really interesting is that, from what I know, is that when people first heard that there was going to be a sequel to Alien, when there was going to be a sequel to Terminator, people were like, "Why the fuck would you do that?"
Mm-hmm.
But James Cameron found a way to like do it, and his sequels are arguably the more popular parts of those franchises. So. Yeah. I don't know if I would be interested in seeing Avatar 3, 4, 5, like, because that's how many he has planned.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but maybe a sequel. Maybe. I'm not sure. But
maybe I'll give the first one another try, but
I know
it's definitely not on my, like, super excited to watch this.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited just to see just how they're going to sell it, because it's been so long. Then again, if you think about it, Star Wars had a super long break in between, like, the old ones and the prequels.
I mean, yeah, and I guess
that was a long time.
I never really got into Star Wars until The Force Awakens, was announced and stuff, and then I watched that, and after that I was hooked. So maybe it'll be the same way with Avatar 2. I mean, Avatar 2, but
I know Disney's definitely betting big on it, because Avatar is taking the Star Wars slot next year, not this 2020, right? 2021. Yeah, that's when Avatar 2 is supposed to come out.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm sure they're not. Avatar is not a bad movie. It's just, at the age that I saw it, it didn't catch my attention, and I haven't seen it since. So maybe I should go back and watch it.
I have it on Plex.
Yeah.
Nice. So now that we talked about the news, I just wanted to talk about that. That is really interesting. Give our takes on it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back with you in a few seconds as we go in and talk about Star Wars and The Witcher and some blah 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 blah. All right. Yeah, some other topics. Right. We'll be back. Hey guys, we are back, and back to my stuttering mess. Now we're gonna talk about Rise of Skywalker. I'm being very boring and telling you exactly what I'm going to talk about, so you know exactly where to go and skip the parts you hate. No, I'm just kidding. No. Obvious
spoiler warning. So I mean, if you haven't seen Rise of Skywalker by now, which if you haven't, fucking ridiculous.
If you're the one person who hasn't seen it, go watch it.
Or click away. We'll have timestamps.
Yes. Yeah. I will have a timestamp. But if you're also listening. I guess I kind of auditorily tell you what's going on. Just pay attention to the timestamps. But yeah, before we go into Rise of Skywalker, though, I did want to ask, you guys could also respond if you want in the comments, but ask Carlos, what is your favorite episode of this Disney trilogy?
Probably The Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens?
Yeah, because fuck The Last Jedi.
Yeah, you really don't like The Last Jedi. Now, for me, I would say that it's probably Rise of Skywalker. But that's me being colored with the fact that I've seen all the episodes multiple times. Yeah. And I mean, like, and I'm not just talking about Disney, but like the old episodes and the prequels.
Yeah. I mean, I like, The Force Awakens because it introduced obviously a new story. But there was like a lot of questions and a lot of potential where they could have gone with the story. And, considering after watching all of them, I like The Force Awakens because, again, it had a lot of potential, man. It had a lot of potential to go into like really cool places.
Yeah, I definitely think that as a movie, it's probably the strongest of the three.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously a lot of people hate The Last Jedi. I do think that as a standalone movie that's not tied to any story, it does do something that's very different, very interesting, but it ultimately, doesn't succeed because it's beholden to, the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
If it was a movie that was a standalone, that wasn't Luke Skywalker, that wasn't Kylo Ren, that was other characters, I think it would have been good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
maybe.
I feel like it explores aspects that Star Wars hadn't explored. You know what I mean? Compared to like Force Awakens, that kind of explores the same kind of stuff as A New Hope and Double with Rise of Skywalker, kind of the same stuff as Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi.
I guess I can get behind that. If had it been just its own movie, not connected to this trilogy, where obviously we still had some of the same characters, right? I mean, I think it would have sat better with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it ended.
No, yeah.
With the whole Snoke thing. I'm gonna complain about Snoke all the time.
No, hey, and now, like, years after I've seen it, I actually understand like where you're coming from, because like I liked it a lot at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after seeing Rise of Skywalker and seeing just how much J.J. Abrams had to like try and like correct what The Last Jedi did, I can see that from a standpoint of like you have a specific story that you want to tell from part 1, 2, and 3, and somebody just comes in and says fuck that, and I'm gonna do my own thing, and then leaves you in a place that you're kind of like that's not what I wanted to go. Now I know Rian Johnson probably was hoping that it would have challenged J.J. Abrams to continue his story, but the thing is, J.J. Abrams doesn't have time to do that. Disney wants the movie out like now, I'm pretty sure J.J. Abrams, he knew that he didn't have to, like, a lot of people keep saying that the trilogy wasn't planned out and stuff, but I do think that it was, the story beats were planned out, and I know J.J. Abrams probably knew that as long as it was sort of planned out, the directors were more than competent enough to fill in the gaps. But because Rian Johnson took it in a whole completely different direction, it just screwed it all up. Yeah, and it makes it seem like even more so that it wasn't planned out. Yeah, and
well, because it definitely doesn't like feel like that, like the way it the Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and the Rise of Skywalker, they all kind of seem like different movies entirely.
No, yeah. As far as the trilogy goes, it's probably one of the most disparate trilogies in movie history. Honestly. Yeah, because they're all trying to do different things. Force Awakens is trying to introduce us back into Star Wars. Last Jedi is doing its own thing, and Rise of Skywalker is trying to correct it all. Yep. But yes. So now, as we start talking about Rise of Skywalker, we'll go more into our thoughts now. What would your personal score be out of 0 to 10?
I think when I first watched it, I gave it a 6. And after talking about it, it's definitely still a 6.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, for me, when I first saw it, it was like 10 out of 10.
Fuck, dude, you said that about fucking Game of Thrones too, man.
No, but it was like on a pure like enjoyment level. Okay. Like so like if I was to think about it critically, it's like it for me it's like an 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? Although I could see people go to a 7. Yeah. Or even a 6, because even there, I mean, I feel like 6 means like, oh, it's just okay, and I can see why some people would think that it was just okay. For me, I just had so much like fun and enjoyment out of it, and like honestly, there's some parts where I actually like teared up. That like when I got out, I was like I really enjoyed it. I knew that it could be stronger, but for what J.J. Abrams had to try and do, I thought like it was the most successful way he could have done it.
I mean, rating it on like, just overall watching it and, how cool it was. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was fucking badass to see some of the answers, that we've all been waiting for get answered and stuff like that. But overall, like, I guess, critiquing it was definitely, a letdown.
Without going too much into spoilers, what was like, I guess, like the overall reason that you would give it a 6 out of 10?
Right out the gate, man, it just seemed like a whole different movie. Like I really don't see how it connected to The Last Jedi. Right. It didn't, and also like, minute the movie starts, they're just like rushing to answer all these questions that we've just had, since the first. I mean, since The Force Awakens. I mean, okay, JJ didn't have enough time to, really like iron them out, but I mean, right out the gate, man, it was just like question after question being answered, and it was just way too quick, man. It was just like, whoa, slow down, dude.
Yeah. You see, I think like the reason that happened is just because The Last Jedi, if you really look at the movie, it kind of finished the story. You know what I mean? Because Snoke died, and Kylo Ren and Rey solidified their side to the Force. Kylo Ren decided to be evil, and Rey decided to be good.
Yeah, true.
And there's a lot of detractors of The Rise of Skywalker who said that J.J. Abrams should have explored that. Should have explored the power struggle between them two.
Yeah.
And then that would have felt like it was connected to The Last Jedi. But my retort to that is just that J.J. Abrams, the one who started the story, that wasn't his plan. So now to tell him, oh, you got to do something completely different, just there wasn't enough time.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I mean,
so he tried his best to try and stick with what his original plan was.
Yeah.
And I have a theory for that, but
for me it just didn't pan out though.
Once we get into spoilers more,
yeah,
we'll say. Okay, well actually we will go into spoilers already because we'll start talking about what we loved and what we hated and what we would have liked to see. So starting with you, Carlos, what did you love or what did you hate? If there is anything.
So the scene where Rey's brought back to life, and her and Kylo, or Ben Solo. At that point, share a kiss. I'm just like, what the fuck was even that? Like why the fuck would you put that in? Like, okay, maybe they hinted it in other movies that maybe they had a thing for each other, but dude, it's like that just came out of nowhere. Like, why? Like, why would you do that? I mean, when I saw that part, I just looked at Steph and I was like, what the fuck is this, man?
Dude, that reminds me. Have you seen this video where like there's like people who are on a person's lawn? And he's trying to tell him to get off, and you don't know what I'm talking about.
Is it the daddy chill?
yeah, he's like, daddy chill, yeah. And he's like, what the fuck is even that? Yeah. That's like
that was my exact reaction to that. Like I saw it, I was like, what? Like why? Like why? So if you didn't explore it like fully in the other movies, like I just felt they should have kept it out over here, because now it just feels like, I don't know. There's a huge question, like, were they really into each other? Like, you just don't know for sure, and then they just kiss, and you're just like, what the fuck, man? Like, you knew that was just there for like, oh my god.
Yeah, no. Hey, I actually like agree with you, because like it's what's weird. I mean, well, when I first saw it, I thought, like, I was like, oh, okay. Well, it's because I read so much into things, so I feel like some of the stuff was explored just because I paid attention to like the way they react to each other and stuff. But I do feel like explicitly it definitely wasn't explored. But like like when you look back to the fact that they're the only Jedi users who are able to like really contact each other. The only other ones that could do that was Leia and Luke. And it makes sense. It's like, okay, they're tied in some way.
They're like connected in a way.
And it seemed just like the fact that they're always trying to get the other to join the other side. That it would make sense that once Ben, I don't know. It's movie type romance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it felt like typical romance in a movie. But
like to me, it didn't feel like completely out of place as much as it would have felt out of place if like you saw Rey kiss Poe, and then I would have been like, wait, what?
Yeah,
where was that? Like just
but that's like super far left. That like seeing that happen, but like with like Kylo Ren and Rey, it doesn't sit well, dude.
Yeah.
Like
I personally think that it's definitely negative in the sense that because Ben just dies after that.
And I guess that was another disappointment too. Like here I'm thinking like, oh cool, they're gonna have like little Solo Skywalker or Solo Palpatine babies or whatever, like that they were gonna be together, but no, the fucker dies, dude. And I think that's the other part I hated, that Kylo Ren dies. Like I feel like I didn't see enough of him, and I'm a huge Kylo Ren fan, so not being able to see him is super disappointing.
I think he was shafted a little bit with the story, but I think that again is a little bit of Rian Johnson. I mean, because for me, I kind of, like I've told you before, right? I feel like the whole original idea was that Snoke was going to be the bad guy to the very end. Eventually he would have found out that well, I mean, he probably already knows that he was a Palpatine clone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually he would have found out that Rey was Palpatine. You know, Palpatine would have still been dead,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow they would have been connected, and that would have like kind of fueled the story of Part 3.
Yeah.
And I do feel that like Luke probably originally didn't die in The Last Jedi, but was gonna die in Rise of Skywalker, and it just I could see if those things were still there,
Mm-hmm.
it would have led to a more coherent story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
But because they were there, it's like, oh, we gotta bring the Emperor back.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were saying he should have brought like somebody new in, but then it's like, why are you gonna bring a new bad guy, like, in the last movie of the franchise? You know, like the only one that's done it successfully was Avengers, but they had 2 movies to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because Thanos. People say, oh, he was built up from the beginning, but not really. I mean, he comes out like twice, and maybe one time he has a scene where he talks, but it has nothing to do with the Infinity Stones.
Mm-hmm.
So like he just kind of comes out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they have 2 movies to explore it, and that's what I kind of felt like Rise of Skywalker would have been better if it was split into 2 movies.
Yeah, I mean,
instead of just jammed into one.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, had they got into movies, they could have definitely ironed out a lot more things at a slower pace that just made it, feel better.
Is there anything else that you hated as much as that?
I was really disappointed not to see more of the Knights of Ren. I was always really interested in them, like when you first kind of see a glimpse of them,
Mm-hmm.
and just who they were. I mean, you see them for like maybe 5 minutes of the movie, and they get their asses handed to them, and that's pretty much it. So I mean, I really wish I could have seen them more. But as far as things that I hated, can't really think of much.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that I didn't like the most was just the exposition. Excuse me. It was just the exposition dump, because you start the movie, like you said, it feels like a different movie.
Mm-hmm.
But not just that, like it's introducing so many story beats. It's like Palpatine's back. I mean, what?
Mm-hmm.
Kylo Ren is looking for a wayfinder.
Mm-hmm.
What? And him and Rey are a dyad in the Force. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like all these new concepts. I'm like, yo, dude, like, and then they explain them,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's important so you know what a freaking dyad is and what a wayfinder is and what all these different things are and how Palpatine came back and everything. But there's a lot of time spent on just telling you like the story
Mm-hmm.
instead of actually having it reveal itself.
Yeah, like play out.
Yeah. And it's just it's I don't know. It's like imagine you're watching Deathly Hallows and all of a sudden it introduced like oh, Harry Potter needs to collect this object that's gonna help him defeat Voldemort because this small object is actually whatever in the wizarding world and it's gonna and it's an object that goes back generations and generations and generations. You're like, wait, what, dude? I mean, what? Like, I thought we were looking for the Deathly Hallows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're introducing this whole new like concept and stuff, and it's already the last movie.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah. Also, one thing I just thought of, I would have really liked to see how Palpatine survived. Like how did he survive, and or how was he brought back, or like why is he still around?
They only make a small reference to it in the movie when he's like, some power of the Sith, some would deem to be too unnatural.
Yeah,
and it's the same thing he says in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, no, it's like, no, like get the fuck out of here with that. Like, tell me how it actually happened. Like, don't pull this out of your ass.
Yeah. With that, you could, you could see that was the only reference that they were gonna make.
Mm-hmm.
That did suck, but it was cool though when Kylo Ren was like, I think I would say that moment was kind of cool when he's like, I was all the voices, and like you hear like Darth Vader and Snoke and and his voice. I'm like, oh shit, that sounded awesome. And just his voice in general just sounds just like, huge and booming and stuff. It's very different from like Part 6, because Part 6 he's like, strike me down, but it's just because they didn't have like that booming voice, and now it's like, good, I can feel your anger. You can just hear like just much deeper and more intimidating, but I would say definitely after that there wasn't too much I didn't like about the movie. I would say going on to favorite moments, my favorite moment for sure is twofold. is pretty much just the whole Death Star wreckage, like almost everything in that.
Oh, like revisiting that area?
Yeah. Just revisiting it, but not only that, the fight between Kylo Ren and
Rey.
Oh,
yeah.
It's freaking awesome. It's reminiscent of Obi-Wan and Anakin in Mustafar in Part 3.
That's true.
You know, they're all jumping around, and here it's in water, and over there it was in lava, you know. And it's two people who are probably the most connected, you know, fighting each other and stuff. And just, you know, after she defeats him and just that whole, what happens with, you know, Han Solo coming out, and you know they have like a recreation of the scene in Part 7, you know, where he's like, I know what to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. And just seeing that in that context, it's like, okay, now it's like maybe ever since then he was like struggling with whether he should be bad or good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And then when he was like, Dad. And he was gonna say I love you, or did he say I love you? No, he was gonna say it.
I think he was gonna say it.
Yeah, he was gonna say it, and then Han Solo was like, I know. I'm like, oh, because he says that in Empire Strikes Back, like, because Leia tells him I love you, and he's like, I know. I was like, oh, that was a nice callback. And
no, yeah, that was definitely a touching scene when, you know, Han Solo comes back and he's talking to Ben again, because at that point he was probably Ben again, right? He was no longer Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
No,
but I mean, did you like this? What did you? Did you like? Was that one of your favorite moments as well, or?
It was definitely one of the the highlights of the entire
fight
movie
between Kylo Ren.
Yeah, no, definitely. But if I had to say which my favorite scene was when just Rey gets pushed to the point that she uses like the Force lightning. Did that? Oh, yeah. You know how like they're kind of like fighting over
the ship. They're trying to bring it back, Star Killer style.
Yeah, and then
like, have you played Force Unleashed?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, if you play Force Unleashed, there's a part where like your character has to bring down like the huge starship.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like so more exaggerated.
Damn.
But
yeah. So that part was fucking bad. It's just, you know, after that it was pretty apparent to, you know, who she was, you know, who her descendants were, who her parents were.
I still didn't know that it was Palpatine just because I had seen in Force Unleashed, you know, other people use electricity powers.
Okay,
so,
you see, I didn't know that. So I thought I was like, oh, this has to be a Palpatine. Yeah, it has to be Palpatine. But I think that part was really cool because you just see a strength or, you know, just how powerful she could really be, because not everybody can just shoot lightning.
Right.
You know, out of their hands.
One thing I can say I didn't like is just how they just like didn't kill Chewbacca. At first I didn't want him to die like that. That was stupid. But then he's not dead.
Yeah,
come on.
The way they did that, like, oh, there was actually 2 ships. I'm just like, where? Like, did you see it? I didn't see 2 ships.
No, yeah. Well, supposedly, they said if you actually pay attention, you can see the other ship.
You can see the ship.
Yeah, there's just like a shot, very, very quick shot. If you blink, you'll miss it. And
yeah,
it's like,
maybe I need to go back.
That's not good enough.
No, it's not. I mean, it felt like, wait, where the hell was this other ship? Like,
and I would say that is one thing I kind of didn't like about the movie. Just kind of like the reversals of all the different deaths. Like, now I don't mind Kylo Ren. You know, that made sense because Leia was giving him like her life force, and then Rey was healing his cut and all that stuff, and Han Solo came out. That was all great. But like Chewbacca dying and not being dead. C-3PO getting his memory wiped, which I thought was a really awesome scene. It was kind of like sad. You know, he was like,
especially taking one last look at my friends.
Yeah. And he was giving up his memory, but then he gets it back. And it's not the actual full one, but he gets it back in some way. And I was just like, what?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been more like heartfelt if he was just like destroyed. Like
almost that would have been interesting as well.
But instead, he's still C-3PO, but he doesn't remember like who they are. But it's still him. So.
Yeah, no. And then when he gets his memory back, from what I heard, it's his memory all the way up to Force Awakens.
Oh,
so, shit. I mean, he's still C-3PO. You know, if anything, they just wiped the memory of this trilogy. Maybe for better. And
I think one more part on mine is just the end. Just Rey's new lightsaber, man.
You like
it being yellow, dude? Yeah. That's fucking amazing.
And that's in canon. Like, like there is that color lightsaber, and it's supposed to, if I'm not mistaken, represent somebody who's like completed like they're not completed, but like has become like such a powerful user in the Force.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And then it has like the black kilt almost, and like
Mm-hmm.
it's just all black with the yellow dude.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah. I would say one of my other favorite parts was just when she was fighting Palpatine, and she's knocked down and everything, and then they're like all the voices come out and saying like, "The Force is always with you, Rey," and you just hear everybody. You hear Qui-Gon Jinn, you hear Obi-Wan and Anakin even.
Yeah, and then Ahsoka too, right? I heard Ahsoka's voices in there.
You hear Ahsoka and even Kaden from Star Wars Rebels, which I don't know if you've watched that.
I haven't. No, I'm watching Clones first.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. And yeah, you hear a whole bunch of voices that are all very familiar and stuff, and it was just like I was like, oh my gosh, like I wanted to cry. But what really sucked, well, not really sucked, but what I would have liked to see, which is just one thing, right? This is part of our next topic, but the only one thing I would have liked to have seen is when Palpatine's like, "I am all of the Sith," right? And she says, "I am all of the Jedi," and she even like goes like that, like cross guard, right, like that. And then the camera kind of zooms out. I was expecting like to see like all the Force ghosts behind her. It would have been awesome. I know it would have been hard because I mean you're talking about getting Ewan McGregor, Samuel Jackson, and all these like popular actors to be in the same room at one time. But it would have been an awesome like cool thing.
Yeah, no, it would have.
Anything? I mean, I don't. Did you talk about anything that was your favorite?
Yeah, yes, right. Bro, we talked about the lightsaber, about
Palpatine and the lightsaber. Yes, sorry. Was there anything that you would have liked to have seen?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, just so something I would like to see more of is definitely more Kylo Ren and more of the Knights of Ren, just because they were for me kind of hyped up, just because they were kind of like mysterious figures, and then it turns out that they're just a bunch of bitches who get annihilated by Kylo Ren. So.
You know, I would say I thought that was pretty cool. Just the whole how they evolved their Force connection, and how like certain things would like go from one place to the other, like when like
oh yeah, like he was able to grab the lightsaber from his back and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, right.
And that's another scene that I really liked. You know, just the whole like where he's running to try to save her, and then there's actually a video going around where they add the song "I Need a Hero." I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I Need a Hero. Have you ever seen it?
I Need a Hero.
Look, I'll just play it quick. Oh, well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I need a hero.
Dude, it actually, like, we'll watch the video after this. And it flows perfectly, man. It's just like, damn, who put this together is a genius.
That's funny. No, yeah. And that actually goes to, like, that battle that they have between they're both different areas, like because she's on the ship and he's like looking for her, and then like they destroy Darth Vader's kind of like
I guess like a little like totem thing
to
him.
Yeah. And then the helmet falls into his part of the world, and he's like, "Oh, that's where I know where you are." Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, that was so sick."
Yeah. It's cool that they were able to like utilize that together, like to be able to like join their forces to be able to like actually pass a physical object through their vision thing.
Yeah. And it's cool, like I think it's cool to evolve force powers and to show more different force powers and stuff like that, and that one was really cool. But going into one of our main topics, and hopefully going into one of our main topics, I've seen a lot of crazy opinions of the movie, and one of the things I wanted to ask, which is kind of like one of our main topics, is, and I know at first it sounds wrong, and maybe you guys might end up disagreeing with me, but I feel strongly about this. But my question is, can opinions be wrong?
I think that's a difficult question, because I mean, if you really try to think of opinion, like I don't see where an opinion can ever be wrong. And I don't know if you have something to kind of like enlighten me, like, oh well, what if it was this way? But for the most part, I mean, I don't know.
I feel no. Hey, I mean, if that's the way you feel, I mean, you can chime in and further, defend why you feel like no opinion can ever be wrong. I might, maybe it sounds a little pompous, but I just feel like there's just some opinions that are utterly useless. You know, so when I saw this review from Forbes magazine of Rise of Skywalker, saying that it was the worst Star Wars movie of all time, I'm like, that's just stupid. It's dumb. Like it's not like there's I was gonna say, in my opinion, no. If you look at Rise of Skywalker, there are things in there that are objectively better than, say, like the prequels. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's visual effects that are better. There's a story progression that's better made, as crammed as it is. There's acting that's better. There's, you know, like there's aspects that are objectively better. And some people might say, okay, you're saying better. That's like an opinion, right? Mm-hmm. But it's like, okay, fine. But do you want to see an Oscar-nominated actor, you know, who's given his heart and soul to the role, or do you want to see Anakin, like, in my opinion, the Jedi are evil? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not with me, then you're against me. You know, like it's just like there's certain things, the way that Anakin, like the way Hayden Christensen delivers them, that okay, somebody can try and have the opinion that that's a better performance than Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, but come on, like that's just
no. I mean, but then it goes back to like, you know, that's what that person thinks, you know. So like I don't in my opinion, I don't think there's ever an opinion that's wrong, because I mean, people are definitely gonna have different tastes and like different things, you know. So, or maybe most people don't look at things the way you do, or you know, whatever, you know, you get me. Like not everybody has the same like critiques as you do. They don't look for all the same things as you do. So I mean, no, I mean an opinion. It's an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I still harp on the fact that if an opinion is utterly stupid and useless, I just feel that like that's the one time that it can be wrong. Like technically it's not, because it's their opinion. So an opinion is based on whether or not they believe in it. Yeah. So if they do, then the opinion is correct, right? Yeah. But I do feel that there's just some that are just completely useless because they just don't. I was gonna say, in my opinion, they just don't help further the criticism and the constructive nature of critique in general. Like they're not gonna make the movie better, you know. Like if somebody actually comes with a hit piece of like, you know, the prequels were the best Star Wars films of all time, I'm like, you can believe that if you want, but if somebody were to go ahead and actually take that into their philosophy, I can guarantee you 10 times out of 10, honestly, that they're gonna make a terrible Star Wars movie come next time than somebody who actually went back and saw the originals and understands that those are honestly probably the best Star Wars films. You know, I don't know. That's just, it's just like when I read that, like that the title of the article, oh, it's the worst Star Wars movie of all time.
Yeah,
Shut up.
I guess an opinion can be wrong to you, but I mean, the overarching thing is that there's no wrong opinion.
The whole concept of an opinion is that that it's not wrong or right. Mm-hmm. You know, it annoys me sometimes just when I see just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely opinions that are, you know, really fucking dumb.
Like, sorry.
No, you go. No, go.
For example, you already were like, okay, it's a 6 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Could you see somebody believably give you a reason why they feel Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars of all time?
Nah. I don't think there's a way that somebody can like convince me or, you know, even have enough proof to tell me that it was the worst one of all time.
Because no way. Yeah, for me it's like any reason they give, I'll give you 15 why another one is worse. You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
But okay. Going forward. What is your favorite Star Wars film overall, or not just film? Maybe it's a media part of Star Wars, whether it's a game, book, or movie. But what is your favorite Star Wars media?
I mean, it's gonna be a movie, and you're not gonna agree with me because you just threw shit at it. But just like finding the origin story of like Darth Vader, it's gonna be the Revenge of the Sith, man. I just like seeing Anakin kind of like, you know, turned to the dark side, and when I recently rewatched it, like I could see. I guess when I was younger, I didn't really pay attention to it, and I hadn't seen it like almost since then. But you could see just Anakin getting pushed, to the dark side, and then just seeing how Darth Vader came to be Darth Vader is like probably the reason why Revenge of the Sith is my favorite.
Hey, I mean, you'll be surprised, but while I might have had that opinion when I was, now I can say opinion. While I may have had that opinion when I was younger, like a year ago. But in general, I mean, it was formed when I was younger. I actually don't disagree with you completely, because to me, I'm kind of torn between Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, or New Hope. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Just because, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I do feel that as far as finales go, I feel that despite its flaws, Revenge of the Sith is the best finale of any of the trilogies.
Yeah, because you know Darth Vader, freaking powerful, super iconic character in the Star Wars universe, and then you don't. I guess back then you didn't really have like an origin story to him. It was just like all just kind of talked about, and then actually seeing it happen and why it happened and how it happened, I was like, damn, dude.
And not only that, but like for example, that scene with Obi-Wan when he defeats Anakin, and he's like, "You're my brother, Anakin. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not bring it to darkness," And then Hayden Christensen's like, as much,
doesn't he yell like, "I hate you" or something like that?
Yeah, he's like, "I hate you," and like as much shit as I give his performance, like there are parts where he does a good job, and that was, in my opinion, one of the strongest scenes in the movie for sure. Just seeing that heartbreak in Obi-Wan, but also that movie has definitely one of my most favorite scenes, which is when Ian McDiarmid, I'm saying the actor's name, when Palpatine and Anakin are in the opera, and he's talking to him about how a Sith can make life, create life. Like that whole scene is just like really, really cool.
Yeah, because that's when you start noticing that Anakin's like, he starts thinking about it, because he's having those visions of Padme dying and stuff. Yeah. Like you see him definitely contemplating like, shit, should I?
Yeah, not only that, but you see how George Lucas is showing you like the perspective of the Sith, and it's interesting to see where the perspective comes from, and you see like, oh wow, you do have some points, but obviously it's not the points I prefer. Right? You prefer to be Jedi and stuff, but yeah, I mean, no, that's interesting. Revenge of the Sith is your favorite. I mean, I will say, if I'm in the corner and I have to choose right now, I would probably say Empire Strikes Back, and just because Empire Strikes Back is just really like it's exciting. Like A New Hope, the one thing that you could say is that it's a little slow because it's introducing the world and all that kind of stuff, even though it's part 4 technically, right? But chronologically, but Empire Strikes Back doesn't have to waste time on introducing the world and stuff like that. And to me, just like from the get-go, it's already exciting. Like you see the Battle of Hoth, the little bit that you're able to see it. You see that Luke starts, training as a Jedi. You see Yoda like come back, and it's cool that he's kind of like the kind of person who knows he's powerful and doesn't have to like show it off, like the way he does in the prequels. And then also just seeing just that whole dynamic between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and at first if you actually see it with the knowing that Darth Vader is his father, you see that Darth Vader wasn't ever trying to kill Luke Skywalker. He's just toying with him the whole time.
I got that when I watched it. Like he was never really going to kill him.
Yeah. And obviously, because after we seen like say Rogue One, you can see Darth Vader is fucking powerful.
Dude, not only that, dude, in fucking the Fallen Order, dude, when you see him.
Oh, Jedi comes out in the Fallen Order.
Oh fuck!
Oh
no, I had told you he comes out in the Fallen Order.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
because I forgot about it.
I texted you. Remember, I texted you. I was like, "Oh fuck! I think I saw a spoiler," and you're like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "Oh, I saw, Darth Vader," and I'm like, "Is that the spoiler you were telling me that came out on the
was
commercials?"
Was it the spoiler?
No, I never saw the commercial for that you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
But was it? I mean, you played the game though. Was that the closest thing you could think of? Like,
a spoiler? Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay. But it's fine. But in that, he's like super powerful.
Dude, holy shit, man! Like you see him, and I saw Darth Vader a way I've never seen him before.
Fuck!
Dude, it's crazy, dude.
Now I gotta play that game. I gotta finish it. Shit. Yeah. But yeah, I would say Empire Strikes Back is
nice.
Probably my favorite.
After rewatching those recently, getting ready for The Rise of Skywalker. Dude, I was like, these movies are gonna be fucking old. Like, you can tell they're old, and dude, they actually hold up really well, man. I was actually super impressed.
Yeah, dude. I mean, those movies they brought a whole new generation of visual effects and stuff like that. They pushed the bar forward.
Dude, it was. I mean,
and they still hold up
for the time that it was, man. The bar was pretty fucking high, dude.
Yeah,
I was like, damn, this looks good.
Yeah. To me, the only other franchise that's pushed the bar forward that much, I would say, is Lord of the Rings, and yeah, just Lord of the Rings. Just because a lot of the stuff that they do in Lord of the Rings, they do now all the time. I mean, you're talking about huge battles. They created a whole AI system for all those creatures and stuff whenever they have huge battles and stuff like that. I mean, the motion capture of Gollum, that's something that you see now every single time. Thanos is motion captured. Snoke was motion captured. Like, there's a lot of, like, I mean, video games are motion captured now. Hulk is motion captured. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, they both of those franchises, I feel like they pushed the bar forward completely when it came to visual effects. So far, I don't think we've seen anything else come to that apex yet.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But yeah, moving on. What do you think the Star Wars franchise is gonna head next? We can spend like 5 minutes on this.
I don't know. I know there's been speculation that they're gonna get into like the Old Republic, just because they just canonized some of the Siths, and I don't know their names like by memory. But they just made some of them canon, and they came out in the Old Republic. So,
I'm excited if they do the Old Republic.
I mean, watching some of the gameplay, like I actually want to go back and play it, or actually have a chance to play it. Yeah.
You know they have it on Xbox.
Really?
Yeah. They have it as the backwards compatible. It's one of the few Xbox OG games that's backwards compatible with the Xbox One.
Oh shit! I'm probably gonna go play that because it actually seems super interesting.
It's probably like $10.
Nice. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's where they're heading. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know how far they would go into like further, everything that happens after the Rise of Skywalker. I think they're gonna spend some time kind of like pulling it back and exploring some of the stuff that's happened in the past.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm trying to look for our time. How long have we? Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, we're almost done. Anyway. We'll almost be done. But yeah. I think that's definitely an interesting way. I think another way that they could also go is just start exploring the Star Wars universe completely. Just how we had Rogue One as a one-off and stuff, right? I want to see more one-offs, but that are just disconnected.
Like Jedi nothing to do with what's like
the main story. Like if you look at Jedi Fallen Order, for the most part, like sure it takes place in the same planets and stuff like that, but it's hugely disconnected from the main story until you reach the end.
Yeah.
But even the Mandalorian is hugely disconnected.
Yeah,
from the main story right. in general. Sure, like there's the threads that connect them to the overall universe because of course you are in a Star Wars universe. You should have those threads, right? But they are disconnected more often than not because they don't come across besides Fallen Order, right? But they usually don't come across the OG characters.
Yeah, I'd like to see where the Jedi are like thriving more than
definitely
like from the prequels, like thriving like that, but maybe even more.
And recently it was revealed that Benioff and Weiss were taken off of that, so thank God.
Good. Thanks for fucking up Game of Thrones.
Yeah, fuck you guys. Nice. All right. Real quick, what are your top 3 moments in Star Wars? And they don't have to be in any specific order. It's too hard.
Are you talking about like every single like starting from Phantom Menace all the way to the Rise of Skywalker, or just from the Rise of Skywalker?
No, just like all the movies and stuff that you've seen. Okay. What are the top 3 moments that come to your head?
Definitely when Anakin becomes Darth Vader.
Okay. It is really cool because you see that like how Padme is dying, and at the same time he's becoming Darth Vader. Yeah. It's like cutting between. It's like really cool.
Man, that's a hard question. So definitely Skywalker becoming Darth Vader. I think Kylo Ren getting introduced in the beginning of The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like he just comes out, pretty much out of nowhere, and then you're just like, holy shit!
And
like,
he stops that bullet in the midair.
Fucking badass. That guy's a beast. And Fuck, man. Other than that, I mean, I can't really think of a third, like something that like stood out. I mean, it'll come to me. Maybe you can go for your three, and I'll throw out my last one.
My three would be I really enjoy the Jedi voices coming out in the end of Rise of Skywalker and just being there with her. Like, to me, like hearing all those voices, it's like, yes, it was worth watching all the movies and shows and stuff. Second moment would probably be when Darth Vader comes on in Rogue One in the very end.
Yeah.
Just how powerful he seems there. Like, he's just destroying everybody just completely. And it's just one of the few times you actually just see just the Force being abused. You know what I mean? Like because it's usually just used sporadically. And yeah, and then I think my third favorite moment, it would probably be in The Mandalorian, which is spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen The Mandalorian. But when Baby Yoda uses his Force powers,
I guess, yeah. When he first uses it, right?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, cool. I at that moment I felt like this is what it must have felt like for those people who watched Episode 4 for the first time and they saw like an object move. You know, it's just like I was like enthralled by the wonder of all that because I didn't expect him to do that. Even when he was like, I was like, what is he gonna do exactly? And then he picks him up and throws him. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, I would say those are my probably top 3 moments in Star Wars.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't really think of like a third one that like really stood out. And I mean, it's there. It has to be there. I think it's just right now in the moment, I can't really think of much. Like, I definitely have to sit on it.
I think another moment I could throw in there would be just the immersiveness of the Battlefront games. You know, like as far as it goes to trying to put you in a battle in a movie, I think the Battlefront games have succeeded far more than pretty much any game has. And just when I first played Battlefront, like the originals, like Battlefront 1, it was just like freaking amazing. Like especially part 2, and you were able to be a Jedi. I'm like, oh,
you see that was really cool. Yeah. That was really cool.
Yeah.
But you know what? If I had to choose a third one, I don't know if it's because it's my favorite color or what it is, but you just seeing Rey with that yellow lightsaber, man. Yeah. Like I looked at Stephanie. I was like, what the fuck? And maybe it's just like the whole thing that I don't know what the yellow lightsaber stands for, and it's just introduced. Like, it makes me want to, like, actually research it. And I know you told me, but, like, it made me just want to, like, research, like, what is the yellow lightsaber?
Yeah.
And then seeing it in Fallen Order, too. Like, being able to choose that color.
Was that your color?
Yeah, it was my color. It's almost like hers before I saw the movie. It was, like,
it's supposed to be the same.
yellow with the black, like, with the black color, like, hilt.
Oh, black hilt.
Yeah. So, that might be my third. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's another one that's going to come in and, like, outrank that. But, I mean.
And what's your top 3 worst moments?
The Kylo Ren kiss, for sure.
Reylo kiss.
The Reylo kiss. Snoke dying like a bitch.
Okay.
And I mean, what else? Maybe the whole pod racing shit on like Phantom Menace. I honestly skipped that. Like when I was watching it just to get through it quick. I didn't like the pod racing, dude.
Dude, the pod racing fucking awesome, man. I mean, it makes no sense in the scheme of things, but just the audio design. Oh man, you gotta see it like over there.
No.
In my house. No, I'm just saying, like, just man, I don't know.
It was just kind of one of those like I don't give a shit about the pod racing. Like,
yeah, it has almost nothing to do with the story, but I love just the action and the pod racing, and just the sound design and everything.
Maybe those are my top 3.
Top 3 worst moments. Okay, my top 3 worst moments would be definitely Hayden Christensen's performance sometimes. In my opinion, the Jedi are evil. If you're not with me, you're against me. And then he's like, I don't want to have to kill a friend. And he's like, you will try. That has to be like some of the... I mean, they're super funny, so maybe they're not the worst, but that's definitely one. Another one would definitely be... would definitely be just okay. I have to say moment. So just the whole conversation between Qui-Gon and Anakin's mom. Just like it's in on paper it sounds awesome, but the way it was performed was just terrible.
Like where he's telling Were they talking about like Anakin and like
midichlorians and all that kind of stuff.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I just think her mom, the actress, just I don't know if it was George Lucas or the actress herself. It's just like, just really
like they didn't really like sell it.
Yeah. And I'd say the third moment that I hate is just, I would say honestly, is probably everything. I mean, I'm talking about a scene, right? It's supposed to be a moment. But honestly, just when Rose Tico in Last Jedi is like, oh, this is how war is on the other planets, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh my god.
Her character seemed like it was going to be a big one coming out of Last Jedi, and then you only see her for like
good riddance,
a minute, and it's just like, well,
dude,
they didn't really utilize her at all. No, she wasn't interesting at all. No, yeah, she wasn't really.
She's not a stormtrooper. She's not a Jedi Force user. She's not a soldier, a bounty hunter, or anything. She's
just like a mechanic, right? Or
something. Yeah.
Would have been cool if she was like Force sensitive or something. Would have made her a little bit more interesting.
I think that would have made her interesting. You know what's so weird is I heard that supposedly John Chu, who made Crazy Rich Asians, because there's this hashtag Rose Tico deserved better, and he said he wants to do a Disney Plus series of Rose Tico. I'm like, the fuck are you gonna do? But not only that, I was just like, what kind of overcorrection is this? If this were to actually happen, then she would have more screen time than any single character in the trilogy. How is that fair? Like, it's retarded.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Whatever. What's your favorite battle? Just your favorite battle. Lightsaber or space?
It's going to be in the Revenge of the Sith. When
Mustafar battle.
Yeah. Obi-Wan and Skywalker. Luke, fucking Anakin.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be the Rogue One space battle. That's probably my favorite battle. Just it's really awesome. I like it a lot. So going into one of our last topics, one of the last topics is, do you think franchises are doomed to fail? I mean, we've seen that with Star Wars. It's disappointed people. Game of Thrones has disappointed people. Harry Potter has disappointed some people.
I think yes. I mean, when it comes to an end, you're gonna have equal amounts of people who hate it and people who love it. And
you think so?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that there's some movies and franchises that are able to pull it off to the point where
the finale is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
I haven't seen any recently.
You don't think Harry Potter? Did it? Like, I feel like the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 together, that's like the best finale you could have done with Harry Potter. I mean, maybe it's because I kind of like Harry Potter's cool and all, but I've only watched all the movies once, so like I can't really say that I fully I guess understand it coming to an end or whatever. But I mean, everything I've seen recently, just hasn't had a good ending. I feel sorry for you. Yeah, fuck you, man. No. Because you've as you've gotten into things, the things that you've gotten into have ended in disappointment. Oh yeah, Star Wars, Game of Thrones. I think Avengers is probably the only one that. Yeah, that one did fine. Right. Yeah. And you see, and I think Endgame, most people agree that it's a perfect ending. True. For the most part. And you see, I would say that that's the same for Lord of the Rings. I would say that that's the same for Harry Potter. And that's the same for, even Back to the Future. I would say even that's the same for the original Star Wars. I mean, I guess if they try to go too far, I mean, in this case, Marvel did it right, because obviously they have 20, 30 movies or something. If you're able to do it right, I mean, then, Yeah, I definitely think... You'll be fine, but if you have, like Game of Thrones and Season 8 and D&D... Fuck those guys. Just fucking ruin, everything I cared about for the last 7 seasons. Yeah. I think Game of Thrones ending still is one of the worst, in my opinion, compared to Star Wars. So worst finale of the year. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that, because, Rise of Skywalker, I enjoyed. I mean, even when you go to the DC universe, and you go into the show and what they're doing right now with their crossover on the TV shows. I enjoyed it.
Nice.
And so yeah, as far as finales go, yeah, I would say Game of Thrones is still the most disappointing out of definitely. So yeah, that was our discussion of Star Wars. We like Star Wars a lot, and we had our opinions. Maybe you guys agree, maybe you guys don't. Tell us in the comments. Let us know. Don't. No, just playing. But the next thing we really want to talk about is The Witcher, because it's being made into a show. It's gonna be probably one of our next obsessions for the next few years, and hopefully it sticks to landing. I think it will. But yeah. What did you think? First, what was your most favorite episode?
Fuck, man. I mean, that's hard to choose. I mean, I don't think I can choose a favorite episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I have one.
Which is?
It's either. No, for sure. It's probably the first one.
The first episode?
Yeah, either the first. It's tied between the first one, Striga, and the Battle of Sodden, but I would say the first one.
I think
probably one of my favorite.
Most of them had their like really badass moments.
Dude, they do.
Yeah,
each one does.
So.
But what did you think? What would your score be on a scale of 0 to 10?
For the entire series?
Yeah.
Probably like an 8.5 to a 9. Yeah, I'm not gonna give it a perfect 10.
No. I don't think it's a perfect 10. I mean, the timelines are a huge.
The way they fuck with it, I even feel like I need to rewatch some of it just because I didn't really know exactly what the hell was going on until like episode 5.
Yeah.
When I was just like, oh, that's what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, to give them credit, it's not like it's super confusing. It's just confusing after the fact that you realize, oh, so it was all different timelines. At first, you just think everything's happening concurrently.
Yeah.
And still, to their credit, like, it does make sense. It parallels nicely. Like, when he's fighting the Striga and Yennefer's being transformed into, her beautiful self.
Yeah.
Like, there's a good parallel to it, even though that Yennefer's part is taking place, like, 50 years before what Geralt is doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the timelines. Oh, shoot. This is so low. Sorry, guys. I lowered it again by accident. But yeah, because of the timelines, that is, like, definitely a little bit of a knock against it. But I mean, I do think, it's a 9 because it's so freaking good in capturing just the essence of who the Witcher is, and also just focusing on the fact that there are 3 main characters. In the books, it takes 3 books until you kind of like meet all the main characters, and like I think that. Well, what did you like about it? Why do you think it's a 8.5 or 9? And I wanted to talk more about it, but I want to see why you think it's 8.5 or
9. For me, it's just it gives me a little bit more insight on the story, because going into it, I didn't know the full story of everything. Like the story was still super new to me, and even now it's still really new to me. Like I can't say I'm an expert at The Witcher. That's why I'm replaying the game. I'm reading the book. I've watched the series. I think it's just badass seeing it all come to to life, and seeing Henry Cavill. He does a fucking amazing job, dude. Like when I first saw him on that teaser, I was like, oh, this looks fucking stupid. Like they're gonna fuck this up, but nope, looked really good.
Dude, and his performance and everything, he talks and stuff. It's just absolutely like awesome.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it, just because it gave me more insight on like the world of The Witcher and stuff.
Yeah, dude, and just the way he says "fuck," like, like just the way he delivers it. There's never a time where I did not laugh. Like especially the law of surprise when he's like, I'll just have that which you already have but you don't know yet, or whatever, and then
it turns out that she's pregnant.
Yeah, and it's like. And it's just funny because like he didn't mean to do that.
He captures Geralt really good, because I feel like after playing the game, like that's definitely
how Geralt is,
how he is.
Yeah. Except younger, less seasoned. Well, I mean he's pretty seasoned, but less seasoned. But yeah, and not only that, I would say that the battles in the show, just like the Witcher versus monster battles, and even the bigger battles. They're really well filmed.
Yeah.
Really
well,
awesome.
the first little fight that he has within Blaviken, dude.
Which fight?
Well,
when he goes against the Kikamura, or when he goes against the
the group of enemies, and then he's like
yeah.
just fucking him up. It's the first time you see him like in full action against humans.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that part was like when he fucking slices his head and like picks up the sword. I was like, damn, dude.
Yeah. And if you notice, like the camera just stays on him. It doesn't really cut that much and stuff. And just seeing the way he like pirouettes and all that kind of stuff, like it's so gritty, dude. When I saw it, I was like, oh, what the, yes. And then when I see him use the art sign, I was like, yes, that's what I would have done too. Yeah, no, it was just so cool. And then also when he's fighting Renfrey, I even like that even through the fighting of them versus each other. Like even there, the story is being told. He's trying not to kill her, but at a certain point, he's like, okay.
He has to do what he has to do.
Get down.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah. Like, yeah, that battle. That's one of the reasons why that first episode is probably one of my favorite episodes, because not only do you have Geralt trying to determine whether he should make a choice or not, but you actually see why, kind of like what his stance is from the books, and it kind of at least for me enforces probably the way I'm gonna play The Witcher 1, 2, and 3. Is just trying to be neutral, but at the same time you see that he's also drawn to being a good person, because the only reason he kills Renfrey is because he had to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or else she would have caused more havoc. You know, but he doesn't enjoy the fact that he did it, and even then they toy with him. They say, you know, you're going to have to make a choice, and you'll never know if it was the right one. And I'm like, these people played the games. You know, like, because that's exactly how it feels. And in the games, when you make some choices, you'll never know if it's the right one, because by the time the effect of the choice has been revealed, you're already hours into the game.
Yeah.
So there's no way, like, oh, let me go back. Nah, you fucked up.
Yeah, I think when I played, I never really got to a round where, you know, I got repercussions from some of the decisions I've made.
Right.
Yeah.
You probably had to have played it a little bit more. But yeah, I really like that quote in that episode. But yeah, that fight. And yeah, in general, the choreography of all the fights, even when he's going against the Striga, it's really, really good. Like, the way he goes against the Striga is almost like, when you read it in the book, the way it's explained in the show, it's almost exactly the same. And just seeing that come to life was really awesome. Not only that, but they actually, CD Projekt had originally tried to do it themselves in the video game, in The Witcher 1. And
do what?
That fight.
Oh, that fight. Oh, okay.
And it's also very similar. I mean, you don't have like a trolley whip thing, right? But you are fighting her in the same way that he fought her in this in the show. But overall, I guess, is The Witcher something that you're gonna be like now? I guess gonna be like your next
like kind of like Game of Thrones thing. How I get into it? Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I bought the book. That's why I'm replaying the game, and it was all because of watching the show and just seeing where the story's going and, you know, what it's about. Yeah, I'll definitely be on Witcher for the next year or so, for sure.
That's good.
Or until Netflix decides to stop doing it, or you know, there's no more developments.
No, hopefully they're able to do, because like I read all the books after the show, and just where the books go, it's really awesome. And to me, it's an awesome prequel to the video games, because the video games, where they go is it's the logical conclusion, in my opinion, even though the author himself hates where the video games went. But it's so stupid, because like even in The Witcher season 1, the queen does make like a reference to the Wild Hunt, because the father is telling her something.
I think I remember
not her father, but her husband, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, if they were all right, the prophecies or whatnot, then the Wild Hunt is years behind. And it's like, even there, like, you can almost kind of see that maybe even the author himself at some point could have led to the Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the fact that the game gets to the point of the Wild Hunt, it's, you know, it's a logical endpoint. You know what I mean? But yeah, really love the show. To me, yeah, definitely like 9 out of 10.
Yeah, the whole Witcher story, everything that goes on with the Witcher is still super new to me, so I didn't have a lot to really speak to. But hopefully in the coming months and years.
Yeah. And future episodes. And yeah, and I guess, guys, that's gonna about do it for us in this episode of Beer Break, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully this kind of format, I tried my best to make it more my words are just escaping me today, dude. Just I was better prepared, basically. And if you guys enjoy it, let us know. If you guys have any suggestions, let us know. And hopefully next time we're actually gonna talk about different stuff. I know for one, I want to talk about more like personal stuff and just between like me and Carlos, but also talk about like just different topics in general. Like I definitely still want to do like just a whole episode on ghosts and exorcisms and stuff like that.
I know we had a
really interesting
a recent talk of like religion and what we believe in and stuff like that would probably make a really interesting listen.
Yeah. And then still continue to talk about movies and stuff. I know we're gonna watch 1917 eventually. I hope. I mean, I'm gonna watch it hopefully.
Yeah, I'm probably watching it this Saturday. So.
Yeah. So hopefully we can do something on that. But yeah, this is Juan and Juan. It's because you call myself that a lot. This is Albie and Carlos signing out. See you guys next time.